content is for informational and educational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever by Goren Blockchain, aka DGB, the presenter, or other associated parties for the content being provided. Please do your own due diligence and seek proper counsel.
Boom! Welcome to another week of the DGB show. I'm seeing a bunch of people already coming in, which is awesome. Thank you for joining us. I'll have the banner going. That was a song, by the way, by a band called Out of Trust. Everyone should go on all of their things and search for them right now and listen to all their music. They're awesome.
Well, after our show.
Yes. We'll search for them while you're on the show because you'll forget after, but then play the music after.
And then tell them that they should probably go post a song on Sound XYZ.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That'd be cool.
I need to call those guys and
right, totally.
convince them to do something goofy in the metaverse. It would be rad. Welcome, the DGB show. I'm Alon Goren. There is David Rankin. We still haven't made an official name for this thing, which is kind of funny. It's just gonna be the thing. Like I joked about it on like week 1 that we're just gonna go forever. Hey, 805. That's right. If you're from the 805, you're slightly cooler than everyone else. Sorry, everyone. But you know, that was my joke, right? Like that we're just going to keep doing the show, and every week we're going to ask people for ideas for names for the show, and we're just never going to name it, which would be pretty funny and pretty awesome. But if you, oh, by the way, if you're watching this now live, you're watching it on YouTube or on Twitter or on LinkedIn, thank you so much. If you're not watching it live, you're watching a recap of one of those things, make sure you follow us in those places. On Twitter, it's at DGB Ventures. And then on YouTube, it's actually at DGB Ventures. Also on LinkedIn, just search for me or Goren Blockchain or DGB. You'll find it. And you can go to our website too, which is dgb.vc. Connect with us, follow us there. You know, send us your pitch for your company. Let's hang out. Tell us what you're working on, because what we do is we invest in early stage blockchain startups. So we want to find people who are playing in this space before any other investors find them, and be the first ones in, and hopefully be your wingmen to help you grow and help you get out there and change the world. Rankin, what's new in the crypto world, and what did you do to Bitcoin?
Well, yeah, I know, right? I don't know. I have to imagine some of GBDC selling off or whatever, some shuffling of Bitcoin. Obviously, it's sell the news. Everything, Bitcoin ETFs came out. Bitcoin's moving around and it's down, unfortunately, a little bit. But I'm not shaken, obviously. In the meantime, it looks like NFTs have been popping up a little bit.
That's right. We should have we got to do a version of this as our apes one of these times. We should, we're going to start also. What I would love for people to do, if you're watching on any of the chats, let us know, of course, where you're from in the comments or whatever, but also give us ideas for topics. You can ask it publicly in the thing right now, and we can bring it up and talk about it live, or message us privately through the website or on any of the places if you want to ask privately. But happy to have any what up. Happy to have any
anything other than financial advice.
That's right. Well, we'll say things, but we will also caveat them with not financial advice, and the fact that these markets and all of this stuff are so irrational. And what I will say is, in our full-time jobs, we do not trade crypto, right? Like, I think that's something that I have to talk to people about a lot, because they hear the word blockchain, they're like, oh, you're like, you're trading tokens or swapping things or playing that degen gambling game. And we're not. Our job is to invest in companies that are building the future of this space and building the future of the internet and the world, and be the first person in. I'm not a good trader. I when I do talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff like that, I talk about it as a savings account and collecting more and more of it, the same way you collect real estate and other things like that, if you're fortunate enough to do that, or the way other people do, at least, because I don't own a bunch of real estate. But the idea is that, the idea is that we believe in the future of this stuff. Now, in the meantime, Bitcoin goes up and down and whatever, but we're still holding long term, right? Like I plan on holding this for many, 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 many years, maybe hopefully forever, right? So I just want to be clear about that. So, but we will joke about it, we'll talk about it, and sometimes we might personally goof around and play with those things or receive those things and whatever. And we tell people do it responsibly and don't do it on credit.
Yeah. So
make sure you're safe.
Sadly, last night there was a guy I talked to, and he's taking out a home equity line to try to gamble on crypto. One that's not what I advise at all. I tell people it's not worth taking the risk, right?
Yeah.
And he's all, well, the first thing that most people want to know is, well, how do I get a 10x? And I'm like, well, the thing is that that's not my approach. My approach is I actually believe in this stuff. I like this stuff, and so I've actually built a diversified DeFi portfolio. And with staking abilities, with various staking abilities of liquidity, you can actually earn an interest off of this and clip it off like a dividend. And so that's
but you're doing it, you're diversifying, you're doing it in things that you expect to exist many years from now. Most people who want to do that, like, I want to make 10x, or I want to participate in these meme token things and whatever. I joke about it and I love it, right? And we there's the saying in crypto, memes are money. But I think it applies more to Bitcoin and more important tokens than just buying Doge, which I've never done and I regret. So who the hell am I? Who the hell am I to preach this stuff? But there's two types of people who are hoping for a 10x on something. There's either someone who thinks they have inside information or thinks they can manipulate it or pump it and play some kind of game, which I don't like that. And I don't like those people, because for them to get their 10x, someone else is losing, right? For them to win, someone else loses. And we're not talking about, oh, this is stocks and institutions and things like that and Wall Street bet stuff. This is screwing the other friends on the internet, right? You're not putting it to the man when you do that. Then there's the people who are just doing it, kind of speculating and gambling for that 10x in the short term. We want and hope to get way more than 10x when we make our investments, right? We don't make an investment or do a deal with a company unless we think that company could be worth billions of dollars one day with what they do. But we don't expect it to happen for a minimum of 5, 7, 10 years. And a lot of the time when you make those kind of bets and investments, early stage startup investments, you expect a lot of them will go out of business along the way. A lot of them will go to zero along the way. Sometimes they'll spike up, right? And they'll have raise rounds at a lot of big valuations. And you might think on paper, you did really good, but you don't know until you know. And in crypto, the benefit is that sometimes you get liquidity early and stuff like that. Like when by liquidity, for those who don't know, you have the opportunity to sell your tokens. Like you could sell shares when a company goes public sooner, right? But at the end of the day, our strategy is to make those big wins. And if you were to sell startups along the way, if you were to sell Amazon, even when they were public at the beginning, you lost a lot of opportunity. But if you sold the shares even way before they went public, you lost 99.9% of your opportunity to create that generational wealth, change the world, and be able to make some change and get in with those big dogs that keep us out, right? So that's the strategy, right? When we take a step back.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a risk in this space. There's an old saying that at a poker table, that if you sit at a poker table and you can't tell who the sucker is at the poker table, you are the sucker, right? The problem is that's even harder to tell in DeFi and in NFTs and all this other space.
But at the end of the day, if you I do believe that if you participate responsibly, even if
Yeah.
you lost, right? It's not like I wouldn't consider it like Vegas or gambling, even though there's lots of comparisons sometimes. But in gambling, you have a certain amount of money. You know the odds are stacked against you. You plan on losing that money if you're doing it in a responsible way, if you're doing it to just go have fun for the weekend or whatever, and you expect it, right? And if you win, awesome. If you lose, you had a good time. That was what your plan. In DeFi and crypto, I think the more you participate and play in this space, and I don't mean just the speculation trading part, but actually participate and play in the space, you start unlocking ideas that should be how things are today. Like I believe that most of DeFi are not creating new products. They're taking existing products that should have existed for hundreds of years in community banking and things like that, and they're making it accessible again to all of us who couldn't access it anymore. And it's making it fair because you're not paying for the overhead of the banks. You're not paying for the CEO's salary. You're not paying for the marble in the bank branch, and you're not paying for whatever, right? You're not paying for your gas to even get to the bank. So it's more efficient. And then that's what's really cool about DeFi. So what I'm saying though is if you participate and play, you start unlocking those ideas. You start realizing you don't have to live in that box of the current system, but also you're learning a skill that I think is going to be a part of the future economy. The way that 10 years ago, when people talked about internet companies, nobody talks about internet companies anymore. Every company is an internet company. Like every fast food joint is an internet company now. And so I think 10 years from now, maybe it's 5 years from now, maybe it's 15 years from now, every company will be a blockchain company and it won't be discussed anymore. And you will be, for participating, first in line for jobs. You will understand it better and set yourself up for a better life, hopefully, if you participate. And that's my feelings about it.
Well, I'm hoping that people learn from FTX, Celsius, and Voyager and stuff like that, because in my opinion, like being on a centralized exchange isn't really crypto, right? You don't really understand crypto until you actually participate and utilize it. And buying an NFT, minting an NFT, buying your first token through a Uniswap, a decentralized exchange, providing liquidity, these various functions that are in DeFi, most people have no clue about, and there's lending protocols out there that have literally maybe 8,000 people that have troves globally. Like that's nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's just
that's kind of the whole point. We're early, but we're also, people know about it and hold some crypto, but very insanely early for people actually participating on chain and doing things. And
that's where you're rewarded. I mean, like what people don't realize is like the rewards that have been bountiful. Like when I was early into Sandbox and I owned property in Sandbox, they dropped a sand token.
Yeah.
Now people are buying it on these exchanges, but the people who are participating are actually getting some of this stuff for free.
Well, that's how the way I explain it to people that are from outside of the space, and like to my nephew who I was trying to get to build things for some of the metaverses and stuff like that. I go, you get rewarded, and imagine if the earliest supporters of a business, and in this case, let's pretend it's a bank because it's more analogous, but like let's say community bank opens, Wells Fargo opens, right? And you are the first customer. You put your money in, you're actually adding value to it. And you're participating by even just having your savings account. But let's say you do other things too, like you get your mortgage there, you do whatever things you use a bank for at that bank. Imagine if you, because you did that, actually owned some shares of the bank, and maybe it was proportionate to the amount you participated, maybe it's proportionate to the amount of money, maybe it's not, but just for participating, you get some shares in that bank. How much for the future of that bank would you be more incentivized to help them, work on them, make sure it's better? Or you can just help participate and guide that institution or that organization where your money is being held. Now think about that from a record label perspective, right? Imagine a record label. What if you love 3 of the bands there and you bought their albums, whatever, and now you own a piece of that label because you participated? Or like you mentioned, the Sandbox. What if you're a game developer and you actually, for bringing value to Roblox, right, you actually owned a piece of Roblox, not just Robux, the in-game currency, which then makes them more money, but you actually, when Roblox went public, imagine if the game developers that built the games there actually owned a piece of it, proportionate to how many people came and played the game or something like that. You're incentivizing. That's what these new things are. And that's why I think they're more akin to a union or something like that than anything else. Right? I mean, like that's what David is discussing, right? He bought land in a metaverse. A metaverse is, like a fake world that you get to play in, and there was a limited amount of land you could buy for the sandbox. And he bought some plots of land there. And because he bought plots of land there, when they created their own token and in-game currency kind of system called Sand, because the sandbox, they gave all of the people who participated sand. I got some too because David convinced me to buy some land there, and I've got some land there, and my ape, has this cool avatar there, and I have some fun NFTs there and stuff like that. And I got rewarded also. Probably not as much as David because I wasn't as early and didn't get as much land, I don't think, but it made me go back. It made me play with it more, maybe test it out, and that kind of stuff happens over and over again. But even without that, you're learning something, participating in something that's a future thing. But I think it's part of the culture to reward people that way. And I think that's also really
we'll see. And I have a different perspective on this because I'm there to participate, help, and have fun. I mean, if people don't notice, I have this nice, wonderful T-shirt that is sweet. Yep, this is actually an NFT. Unfortunately, I need to find somebody that makes T-shirts better because this is already starting to delaminate from the shirt, which is really kind of disappointing. But that's why I buy NFTs. I buy NFTs because then I can make a T-shirt or something like that. Because I'm pretty sure from what it sounds like, I own the IP, even though I'm not selling this yet. But the idea is I wear this stuff out there in public so that we can share with other people because my passion is educating people on the crypto space. And because there is so much technology that people take for granted that they just don't know about. I mean, the ideas of loans with 0% interest and other things out there that is just, there's so much technology. The fact that you can actually make money providing liquidity, or that you can hedge your volatility, rather than just having exposure to a crypto asset, that you can actually hedge that volatility with a stable coin. There's just so much technology that people aren't aware of out there, which is really cool.
Yeah, super cool. Chad has an interesting question I want to hit. It's a little bit different of topic, but I think it can go down a rabbit hole, and I think we could talk about this for days, and maybe we should set up an episode with a guest that can help us with this. But he said, interested in hearing about any innovations you're aware of that incorporate AI and blockchain technologies aside from generative art NFTs. So there's a few. You were about to say something.
No, I just know that I think there's some trading apps that are starting to do something like that. Some people were talking about using the blockchain to keep AI honest, which I think is an interesting topic.
Oh, totally. And kind of it works both ways. But yeah, so I've seen a few things. I've seen trading things. If you look at a product like Lunar Crush, and they're open to all sorts of topics and stuff now. And I'm biased, and I'm a super user, and I'm an investor in Lunar Crush. So throwing that out there. But what's really interesting is if you go to a certain site, if you go to the crypto or stocks section, and you want to set alerts for certain things, and they can be alerts for anything. It could be alerts for the price, which is basic and everyone does, but you can set alerts for 10% more people are discussing this stock on the internet today than were yesterday, or 7 days ago, or 10 minutes ago. You can set all these really specific alerts based on social media, based on news, based on spam volume, all these things. When you set that alert, it starts telling you if you would have traded on this notification for the last year, every time this thing happened. It happened 73 times last year. If you bought $1,000 worth of this thing each time this happened, you would own this much today, and it would be worth this much. And you can actually even have a lower limit for selling too. So you can see how much you would have spent and how much it would be worth today. It's really cool. But we're humans, and no amount of us looking at that is going to know for sure the best possible alerts and the best possible trading for that, right? Because I'm just going to go, ooh, how about 1 minute? How about 10 minutes? How about 1 day? How about 10 days, 100 days, whatever, right? We're going to round things, and we're going to do things as humans. But AI can look at that and go, oh, this alert happened this many times or whatever, and can tell you buy it and make sure you sell it or short it at this price right now, and set an upper limit of this, a lower limit of this, and sell it in 19 minutes, because we looked at it and analyzed it that the peak after this happens is 19 minutes later, right? Like, you can get so detailed when AI can start extrapolating the data and looking at every single possible outcome in every single situation. And it's a really kind of crazy, interesting thing that's going to, I think, in a very short term, it's going to be interesting. And then very quickly, it's going to make really high volume, like hedge funds and stuff, really smart, and it'll probably level out certain things and stop being interesting. But I've seen stuff like that. I've seen AI do code reviews for security and stuff like that. But what were you saying?
I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with volatility if everybody's trading off of market news like that. And I really think that we're going to see even more AI bot basically doing trading for us, right? Because like algorithmic trading using an AI bot off of indicators, such like something like that, maybe tied in with an API, is going to be huge in the future, right? The problem is if everybody's using the same bots or the same type of APIs, they're looking for the same information, you're going to get these mass swings of volatility, which is where I really like the idea of liquidity pools, because now if you have capital, that is paired between two things, you get some lubrication there between.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's going to, like, it's kind of like DEXs, right? Decentralized exchanges. When people started using them, and you start using ones that have low volumes and stuff like that, and tokens that have low volumes and things like that, or less liquidity, the price swings more in these certain venues, because there is supply and demand, just issues, right? You want to buy 100 shares of something and there's only 100 available, you might have to pay a higher price, or sell 100 shares and there's only 50 shares worth of people wanting to buy them. You're going to have to sell them for a lower price. There's like these things that happen. But as the space matures, more people create bots and things like that then make sure, because I can create a bot, for example, that lives on one exchange that goes, when I look at Coinbase and I see the price of Ethereum is 1% higher than on this place, I'm going to buy it here and sell it there. And all of a sudden, everything creates an equilibrium, right? So it's the more mature the space gets, the more these things get fair. The more people start trading on asymmetrical information, the more it gets fair. And so soon, not soon, but like, the bots are going to be smarter than humans and be able to do these things faster and better than humans can. So that'll be how it works in trading. But I think that there's so many implications of one. I'm seeing the most, just to answer the question between AI and blockchain, the most use cases I'm seeing is that AI is becoming more and more commoditized and simple and easy, right? So that, like, if you're building a product, any kind of product, you might use some AI tools for optimizing them, automating things, or even just doing customer support, whatever. And you might be using blockchain for certain aspects of it. And they're not necessarily the same. They're not necessarily interacting with each other, but they might. That's probably the biggest thing. People that are just building products are also using AI tools and blockchain. But I think that one of the most interesting things, right, is I shared this week, I could even play it, I think, a video of me that used HeyGen, an AI tool, where I submitted a video that I posted on LinkedIn a few months ago, where I was on a hike just talking to my phone announcing something on LinkedIn like I do every once in a while. I submitted that to HeyGen. It created an AI avatar of me. And then I gave it a script to say, like, this is not Alon. I'm just typing this to AI text. And now I'm going to change languages. And then I do it in Spanish. And then I do it in Korean. Then I did it in Russian. And then I did it in Chinese. And in the same video, I'm just changing the languages. And if you're one of my family members, you might say the voice is off. And if you really pay attention to the lips, you might say it's a little bit off. But if not, you could probably get away with some really, really crazy things. And this is me submitting one video that wasn't optimized to this tool that was free. Now, imagine how much better these things are going to be. We're going to be in a future very, very soon where we don't trust any pictures or videos without some kind of verification. And that's where I think blockchain will come in, because blockchain can timestamp stuff and you can trust it. It can also say that you can also trust that maybe I have been KYC'd in some way, or that I've been verified in some way. And maybe people won't trust that either, and people are going to try to counterfeit that as well. And that'll probably happen, but it's going to happen so fast. I think that's where I would like to see more products actually come across our desks. I haven't seen too much like that. I've seen AI optimizing and then writing things to chain to do the things that make blockchain more efficient and better products in general. But I haven't seen a lot that fully interact the way that they could. And so, yeah, I mean, am I missing anything you're thinking of, David?
No. I was looking at some of this chat has dropping in their lambs, which I believe is the large action models.
Yeah. What does that mean? That's like looking at data to drive decisions or something like that, if I remember correctly.
I believe so. Yeah.
All right. Chad, if you want to drop anything to educate us, let us know.
Yeah, hop in.
And, but yeah, I mean, AI stuff is getting crazy. I'm seeing it more and more, but also
it's still early in that space. I mean,
well, but I'm also feeling like people were making really specialized AI models. I think that will be where the future of really hyper specialized things go. But even the general ones are really easily trained now to do specialized things. Like we talked, I've seen, I won't say anything.
Well,
about
my son would argue it's not real AI.
Well, it's that's true. Well, like this thing, the use case that I'm about to give is not real AI, but I did literally take a picture of a study guide my son had for a class, and I told ChatGPT, I said, please read this without using any outside information from this paper, because at first it was asking us questions about the topics, but like way more advanced questions that's going to be on my son than what was going to be on my son's test. And I said, only using this sheet and the information on this sheet, please give us test questions on this sheet. If we get it right, move on to the next question. If we get it wrong, ask it again later in a different way. And it just kept testing my son. And then once it got to the end, it was like, hey, I've asked every question of every vocab word and thing on here. Would you like to go over again? And we said, yes, please emphasize the ones we got wrong last time. And it just kept asking questions. And it was smart enough to go, you're close. That's half the answer. The full answer is blah, 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 and it was pretty great. And it literally took 30 seconds to get started, right? These things like exist now in a really, cool and simple way that would have taken time, right? Like before that, we would have had to make like some note cards, think about it. Then you have to have two people or at least one person look at it, think about it themselves, look at it, and then remember which ones they had a tougher time on before. Like you can have it do things that are pretty radical that normally you would need a tutor, a teacher, or a person for, but it's pretty neat.
No, I think I look forward to seeing where it's at. My son right now is going to school for specializing in AI, computer science, and all that. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. I'm really looking forward to the days where we might have like a Roth IRA, and it's custodied in crypto, and having AI possibly trading your Roth IRA for you, right?
Well, yeah, I would say that it's probably going to be a product within the IRA that you can go into, like a hedge
Right.
fund product.
I would hope so.
That's
Take
like
profits, recycle
rebalance.
it.
Yeah, rebalance
Recycle-
based on this
rebalance.
information, based on this thing in this category of companies or things, and here's the risk profile and the percentages and whatever. But like way more.
Well, I hope it's not limited to just brokerages, right? I'm hoping that the common person will be able to utilize that service and that technology.
Well, I think that's where everything is going, right? Like, 'cause if you just think about go from
no, but if you look at the laws, like the laws,
yeah. But I mean, like, what I'm thinking of is like 6 months ago to today, utilizing AI. Like when, I mean, even like the first AI image things, you either had to use an API for like Midjourney, or you would create like a Discord bot communication thing with Midjourney, right? Most people, even though we're in this space and we get it and we play around with Discord and things like that, most people our age don't play with Discord, don't know what it is, don't have Discord, whatever, right? You go from that to even the first versions of ChatGPT, and again, that's an advanced AI thing. And 9 months ago to 10 years ago, nobody could touch AI unless you're like an engineer playing with certain things. But even the first versions of ChatGPT, you would use their like sandbox playground kind of thing. And that's it. They didn't have an app. The average person couldn't communicate with it. This tool that I just used to make that video on HeyGen, I was in the free trial still, and I was able to do that. And I needed no technical ability. I didn't need to understand what an API is. I didn't need to do anything. I just need to go to their website, sign up for free, and start making these things, right? So the fact that no technical chops need to be used to do this stuff means that every single person we know, not just the engineers, not just the nerds amongst us, are going to be able to use this stuff to become more efficient, to do the things they want to do. Chad said, correct. It's a play on LLM, but a digital assistant that can actually connect to APIs, take actions on your behalf. So that's what he was talking about with LLMs, large action models. So the idea is that it's like ChatGPT, but if ChatGPT could connect to the Lunar Crush API and tell us what we need to know directly from that on our behalf. It's what we discussed, actually. I talked to you about this. Was it to you, or maybe it was to Blesnak? But I always joke about, for years I've been saying I want to create an app called Brobot, and instead of saying Siri, I just say Yo Brobot, and I get a bot, and it's my assistant, and it can do all sorts of things. But I wanted to be able to go, Yo Brobot, send Rankin a message saying I can't meet on Friday. But it would know based on previous messages not to just send Rankin a message saying, hi, I can't meet on Friday, right? Which is what Siri would do, word for word, exactly what you want. It would go, all right, I wrote him a message saying, dear David Rankin, blah, 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 because it might know by looking through my stuff and knowing me long enough that David Rankin is an investor, and I want to treat him more formally because that's who I'm communicating with. And so it might write a more formal letter. I'm so sorry to let you know that I can't meet on Friday. Do you mind if we meet next week? Is there a time that's good for you, whatever? And it would know to do this for me. And maybe when I send a note to Yoni, my cousin, it might send him a note saying can't meet Friday, tough shit. Like, I don't know, right? Like, because that's the kind of relationship I have. But it can be smart enough to know those things, like a human assistant might know the difference between certain people, right? Like, oh, sending a note to your brother versus sending a note to a friend versus sending a note to a business associate, right? That you send formal notes to. So I look forward to a day where you could do that. And then even not just doing emails and basic things like that or text, but also then going, paying
Well,
bills,
how about
ordering food for you, things that might cost money, but you can tell it. And once you kind of permissioned it in, you can just, say approved, or maybe you get good enough to where you don't have to approve every single little thing.
Hey, how about Brobot taking it one step further and using your video image to send a personal video message saying, "Hey, sorry, bro, I can't make it."
That would
Right?
be awesome. Yeah, send Rankin a video of me apologizing that I can't make the meeting right now.
And then
Boom.
thinking you have to dump your spouse or you dump somebody or your date, and all of a sudden you send it through a
Not a
video message.
spouse, if you're that far to where you're married, I think they deserve a real video. Just saying. But here's what Chad said. Today, if you ask Siri for a book a ride, it will pull up the Uber app with Lamb who connected. This is exactly what we're talking about. I agree, Chad, and it's totally doable now. And it can be trained over time to the individual to what they're comfortable with and stuff like that. And we're all going to get much more comfortable with this kind of stuff really, really crazy fast. And I used to joke, because the original version of that Brobot idea I had was just almost exactly what Chat GPT is today.
Well,
Hey,
the next generations are living in this stuff. The next generations are living in this stuff. So
that's exactly it. Like I want to ask it to book me a ride to a place, and it will know automatically that I like the Uber X instead of Uber Black, and I will wait 5 extra minutes for this ride versus that ride because I'm willing to, and it will just set the whole thing up for me. And it will also then notify me, 3 minutes in advance to go outside, right? So I don't just sit outside waiting for it or something like that. And do all sorts of things like order order food for the group, right? And I tell it who the group is, and it will text back and forth with the people, get everyone's order, and then make the order without me looking at it ever again, right? Like that's something that AI could easily do if it was connected to a thing that right now is just, there are products I think where it's like, hey, everyone goes into a certain app and places their order or whatever. But these are all like things that you could do all the time. And
I think we'll see more things come out this next cycle. Because gaming and AI is going to probably be the biggest hypes from what I've been hearing from various people talking about, for this next cycle.
My daughter said, hey, called me over when she was playing Roblox over the weekend and said, check this out. This Roblox developer asked for donations to their game because they were using Chat GPT within the game, and they said, please donate Robux. I need to pay for the tokens or the whatever for OpenAI. And in the game, there was like a little chat bot thing that was like, she could communicate with as part of the game. And my daughter, obviously just like everybody else, but now we're talking about kids in their games. And that's a basic thing. So it's just a chat bot within the game. But like, imagine, kind of make believe games and things like that, where the NPCs within a game actually can have like legit real conversations and things. I thought about that for experimenting with my with my Roblox game. I was going to do a couple things actually where there's going to be AI where you have conversations with certain characters or do certain things, and if you answer certain questions right and do certain things, then you will if you've connected a Twitter account, you can then receive an NFT. That's what I was doing some experiments with over the weekend, was automatically distributing NFTs for things that happen in games in Roblox. Because you can do things like that. You can give rewards for people who connect their Twitter accounts and things like that. So if you have their external Twitter information, you can send them something. And it starts to get interesting from there.
I'm totally spacing on it because I have too many metaverses. But one of the metaverse projects that I'm in actually has like an AI chatbot built into the game. So when you have a conversation with a person, it actually generates like text, and you can continue to talk and chat with this person and just make up stuff for the conversation, which is pretty fascinating.
Well, but like the thing that's interesting about that is characters in games can have personalities and
Right.
conversations, and they can be like focused on, like, they can be there to only answer and do certain things.
Correct.
But more importantly than what they say in return to you, which is cool that it can be varied slightly, depending on the conversation. But more importantly than that, the part that I think is interesting is they can understand and have conversations with you if you misspell things, if you don't put things in right. Because I don't know if you guys remember this. I think 90% of people wouldn't, but about 30 years ago, I remember playing around with a friend of mine who was also a computer nerd. And he had a piece of software on his computer called Claude the Talking Computer, which is probably where Claude came from. Is IBM's called Claude, or one of them are called Claude. I couldn't find this recently when I researched it, but it was called Claude the Talking Computer. You could have conversations with your computer, but you weren't really having conversations with your computer, because 90% of the time when you asked it anything that wasn't like really, really super simple, like what's your name, what are you doing, and stuff like that, where it had these pre-written responses, it would just go, it would like make some weird garbled text on the screen and say like, I think there's some static, I didn't understand you, and like say things like that. Or here's a thing that I wanted to do back in the day that is probably really easy to do now, and we should think about it. I used to own a domain name called speakanddestroy.com and carpg.com. I used to sit in my car so much commuting in LA to work and to my office that I wanted to take old school games, the first generation of graphic games that existed. There were games like Quest for Glory and stuff like that, or even if you think even earlier, like Oregon Trail, for example. The whole game was text-based. It would show you text on the screen, and then you had to type something in. Sometimes it's just like putting in a number or something like that, or choosing multiple choice. But in a game like Quest for Glory, it would literally, you would see the graphics of the dude walking into the town and like what's going on. But the text at the bottom would say like, you walk into Heroville, I forgot what the name of the town was, and you see the sheriff standing on the stoop of the thing with his goon, like playing with his yo-yo. What do you want to do next? And you had to know the commands, and you had to be like, talk to sheriff, go right, go left. And you actually had to type in these things into the old text-based like DOS kind of games that existed back then. And then you would do the thing, and then you go talk to the sheriff, and the sheriff would say, hey, you look like a hero. What are you here for? And then you'd have to say like, save the town, or like it would give you kind of some multiple choice. You could play those games without any of the graphics. And if somebody was reading you what was on the screen and you could speak back the commands, you could play these games without any interface, without anything, and just use your imagination, right? Because all of the text explained the whole thing. So I thought about, these kind of choose your own adventure games, but like fully involved RPG games that are voice-based. But a big part of the problem was when I started like trying these ideas out a few years ago, I actually made a game for Alexa called Robot Stories. And my kids literally were like bouncing while playing the game. They were like having so much fun. All it was a basic choose your own adventure kind of thing that was like multiple choice. But the problem was half of the time it didn't understand what my kids or I were saying, or I didn't say the right command. Like it would say, do you want to go uphill or downhill? And if it didn't understand, I just programmed it to go like, if 3 seconds goes by and you don't understand the thing, just pick one at random. And it would go, great, we're going to go uphill, and then there would be certain times where I'd say, hey, what's your name? And I would just have it pause and wait for any sound to come through and then just continue like, great to meet you. But nowadays you could literally have it go like, so great to meet you, David. Let's go up the hill, blah, 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 whatever. And there's even versions of it where you can have it looking at you. Like I did that one tutorial thing where I had my webcam on and the AI model was making fun of me. Like it saw what I was doing. It was making fun of my glasses. Like if I smiled, it would comment on it. If I made a sad face, it would comment on it. It made fun of what was on my shirt. Like you can do things like that. And imagine just the possibilities in gaming for that. Or imagine possibilities in therapy, right? I remember a company, it was really like 10 years ago. I remember a company making the rounds and pitching people who basically created these kind of robot teddy bears where a therapist was in the other room actually speaking through the teddy bear, and it was wireless, and it was there to help therapy and do therapy sessions for kids who were having trouble speaking and nonverbal or had autism. And basically what they learned is that, certain kids wouldn't respond well to actual human beings in the room. They get nervous or they didn't want to talk to them. But when you brought them a teddy bear or something, they might snuggle the teddy bear and start talking to it. Or if the teddy bear was talking to them, so they actually just had a therapist be in another room and do a thing. Nowadays, you probably could have versions of that are on a whole different scale that would be cheap to make, that every single kid could have, that could be educational, but actually have conversations or be, certain things. It could be not just for therapy, but it could be, maybe Teddy Ruxpin today, right? Was that the one, Teddy Ruxpin, the one that had you would talk to it and it would just say the same thing back to you or whatever?
So. Well, I mean, ChatGPT right now works great if you want to flesh through an idea, right? You present an idea in the thesis and the thought process, and it'll ask you questions kind of like a counselor. Because they have the audio version now, right? And so you can ask it questions, and then it'll go back to you and go, that's intriguing. What are your thoughts on that? Can you dive deeper into that? And so you go into deeper, and you just kind of go down this rabbit hole. I've spent like 30, 45 minutes sometimes talking about a subject on blockchain with the ChatGPT.
I did that once. I put in Isaac Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics, and I said, do you follow that? What's the thing? What's the whatever? Is this ethical? And I started asking these weird questions, and it was engaging me on it, and it was pretty interesting and funny to talk to a robot about that. By the way, talking about the educational side of things and testing and whatever, anybody who is still listening, go read a short story by Asimov called "The Fun They Had." It applies a lot to this exact topic, and it's really funny and interesting and kind of where I think we're all going. Of course, like most Asimov stuff, but read it. It's called "The Fun They Had." It's about a teacher. I won't tell you any more about it, because then give up the punchline, because that's part of why I love Asimov short stories, is there's usually a twist at the end. But yeah, what's you mentioned at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about this because we went down all these rabbit holes. We talked about Bitcoin a little and all that, but you said NFTs are starting to pick up and things. What are you seeing, and what's making you say that things are picking up?
I mean, I don't own one, but I'm supportive of Web3 and NFTs. And so these pudgy penguins, right? They have these in Walmart now. And what's fascinating, just like 6 months to 8 months ago, you could find pudgy penguins on OpenSea for 4 ETH, and now they're 18 ETH. That's taken off. Obviously, like I said, I don't own one, so it's bummer to miss out on that. But the thing is, it's cool to see the innovation, And when you start seeing, knockoffs of projects 10xing, that people are starting to come in, just because, that's just how the market is.
It is insanity, and I think
I've seen metaverse projects that I bought 6 months ago almost 8x on things, and so I'm surprised. I'm like, okay, what am I missing out here? What do I not know that's going on? Because something's obviously going on, because I bought this thing, and now I'm seeing that it's 8x. I'm not one to really sell quickly, but I'm like, okay, there has to be.
I'm seeing more scams also. I looked in my wallet I looked in my wallet this morning, and maybe I'm wrong. It's not a scam, but I did see something that was called World of Women Legos, and I looked at their Twitter, didn't see a mention of it at all. But there's some page where it's like, claim your World of Women free Legos, and it wants a bunch of information or for you to connect your wallet. And when the scams are happening more abundantly, unfortunately, it's a sign that things are moving more, right? And I think a lot of it is because of the interest with Bitcoin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Usually what happened in previous cycles with tokens was when Bitcoin did a big move in any direction, the next to follow it would be Ethereum. Now they kind of happen at the same time because the amount of time goes slower. But I think the next step now, because NFTs exist, is NFTs start getting more movement. So Bitcoin has had all this movement, and same with Ethereum. So now NFTs are going to start happening more, and we'll see what happens in the next 6 months. That's when I think it's going to get really crazy, and I don't know.
My biggest thing is I'm not, I have over 1,000 NFTs. I don't buy them to flip them. I have flipped a few here and there, but that wasn't my original intent. Right.
I will tell you that I was very mad at myself at the beginning of participating with NFTs. Got to get one of each cool collection I liked based on what they looked like. And then I was you're emotionally attached to it, and the price goes up and you're like, I should responsibly sell one of them. If it was crypto, you could sell a fraction of it, or you could sell a few if you bought like 100 of a token, right? But with NFTs, it's different. So I started doing this thing that when I did find NFTs that I thought were really cool, I'd buy like 5 or 6 of them, or try to buy 10 of them or something, so that you can sell 1 or 2 and make your money back at a certain point, so that you can continue to play and participate and have fun.
Well, I'm more in the metaverse, where I like holding metaverse properties because of potential advertising or utility in the future. I buy NFTs mostly as art to put in my metaverse spaces, or as music, sound.xyz, which has been fun. I've been buying music on there. I've been buying music as regular NFTs for a long time, and it provides an atmosphere to the various metaverses I own. And then, I really like NFTs that provide IP, right? And I see the IP as being like a franchise to some extent, where you're part of a collective community, and having that ability to be part of that community was pretty cool. You mentioned Cool Dog, right? Was it Cool Dog? I think it was. And
so it didn't have a cool cat, had a cool dog or something.
Right.
Like
so I picked up a Cool Dog. They're not very expensive, but I mean, apparently I think I have the IP on that, so I picked up one because I think it's cool. I do
also like all of the ones that do say that you get IP rights and stuff like that. So I think interesting, fun things can happen with that.
Oh, for sure. Cross collaboration.
I have my plot of land list. We should make a gallery. Or maybe we each make our own galleries.
Oh, I got a whole bunch.
Places, and we have competing goofy galleries or something.
And you're behind.
What? I know you have galleries already.
A whole bunch of galleries.
My kids and I made a gallery back in the day. It should still exist on my Decentraland land, and it's a gallery just for low quality facts. So there's this one random collection that randomly we found because some dude on Twitter posted something, and as far as I know, I haven't seen any other person ever collect any of them. We personally must have made this guy like a couple $100 or something buying his NFTs, because we started going through them. And the reason I bought them was because I saw nobody was buying them, but they're like one of one each kind of thing, because this person put some thought and effort into these goofy ass things. And they brought so much joy to my kids and I. Like one night at dinner, we started going through, and they would just say ridiculous things. I can't even remember off the top of my head now. Maybe I can try to find one. But they would say like they're just nonsense, right? But really funny facts, like a kilometer is 6 feet or something. Something ridiculous, doesn't make any sense. But we were laughing hysterically one night because
that's good to record on chain in case we lose our libraries someday. You have some place to go through and verify facts.
Exactly. No, but I loved that it was called low quality facts, and obviously they were all just made up stupid crap. Which to me is just
were they real? Were they factual facts, or
no? The whole point, low quality. The whole point is it's not real.
here's where you get to
here's
the
the
issue
ones-
that we're
here's
going to
some of the
train
ones I
AI with
own.
bad information. You know, if the
here-
AI is using blockchain,
Here's
be
one of
Pepe's-
the ones that I
Pepe's a
own
bad
that I
fact.
think was hilarious that my kids and I bought. This one is it says volcanoes are responsible for billions of deaths every year. Like, it's just really dumb thing. Here's another one. Nobody knows where wind comes from. Bees make thicker honey when listening to reggae. I don't know why that night when we were looking at these, we just thought these were like the most hilarious things in the world.
Interesting.
Finding Dory is the only Pixar movie that's rated R. Like, these things don't make another one. It is impossible to break an egg by stepping on it. My kids thought that was hilarious.
I think somebody's trying to falsely program an AI.
Oh, you could totally just ask it to, like, you could give it a few of these and be like, please make 1,000 more of these fake things. Here, this one is really good. I like this one because it's really long. And when I said it to my kids at first, they like looked at me like I was serious. It says, Abner Doubleday invented baseball in 1908 after he bet a friend $20 that he could create a sport even more boring than soccer. which I love.
You have some interesting collections.
Well, I thought this dude spent hours minting hundreds of these things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I say dude, I don't know who the person is. It could be a woman, whatever. But like, this person did this must have spent hours and hours just thinking it was hilarious or something. We thought it was funny, and so we had to buy a few. And then my kids, what was funny is, of all the NFTs they own and whatever, they're like, let's make a gallery for just those NFTs. And so we have that in our in Decentraland. So
so those are up in Decentraland?
that's in my Decentraland land. I have a gallery for those, and we also made a really weird gallery. Like, we made like an elevator thing that goes up and down, and we were experimenting, trying to learn.
Do you know the plot
But,
at the top of your head?
What was that?
You know the plot at the top of your head in case people want to visit?
No, I'm gonna have to share that another
We'll
time.
drop that in the comments later on.
Yeah, we can throw that in there, or
Drop it in the comments on
see if
Twitter.
I can search it real fast in here. I have a couple plots actually, so I'm not sure which one it is. It's, I think, at -40, 149. I think that's it. So you might find my low quality facts there. You might not, because that might be the wrong land. But we've got to sneak off. We've got to round this out now. I think the goal should be next week we should have a guest on, and we should maybe we should try to have a name, but definitely we should have a guest on. Pick a topic, suggest topics, DM us, and remember, again, follow us on all the places. Us personally, because that's where you'll find this, but also go to our website, dgb.vc, and feel free to send us a note. It'll throw you on our newsletter too, which we are going to start sending out again. And you'll be notified when these things happen. But also, if you want to pitch us your company, or reach out to us about, co-investing or things like that and deals, let us know, and we can have those conversations and hang out. I appreciate anybody who's listened this far. Rankin, any last words before we sneak off?
Live long and prosper.
All right. What's that? That's this one, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Peace out, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.